Hello everybody, I am Jmulls of Jmulls Gaming, and I am not particularly optimistic for the future of Xenosaga. I don't think the dream is fully dead, but I don't think recent events paint a promising future. So what happened? Well, yesterday, Bloomberg released a report. Now, Bloomberg paywalls their things, so I'll be using an IGN article recapping and summarizing that report, link in the description down below for both. To quote the IGN article, Bloomberg reported that Bandai Namco, which publishes the multi-million selling Elden Ring, Tekken 8, and most recently the 3 million selling Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, is cutting its workforce after canceling several games due to lackluster demand. Just as a little bit of sugar on top, the report also alleges Bandai Namco is sending workers to Oidashi Baya, or expulsion rooms, where they're given nothing to do. This, Bloomberg alleged, is, to quote, putting pressure on them to leave voluntarily. Later in the article, which will be the focal point of today's video, Bloomberg reports that Bandai Namco has suffered financially in much the same way other video game companies have post-pandemic, with big losses coming from write-downs tied to game cancellations. It alleged that Bandai Namco has recently stopped development on games that feature characters from Naruto and One Piece, as well as a project commissioned by Nintendo Co. This mystery cancelled Nintendo game was not named, and I think this next paragraph is super important as context. Bandai Namco Studios has for a number of years developed games for Nintendo, including exclusives Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, Pokken Tournament, and new Pokemon Snap. In November 2023, Bandai Namco apparently I can't read, announced the team it had set up to do contract development for Nintendo as Bandai Namco Studio 2 and Studio S, promising more to come. On the studio's new website, a statement read Bandai Namco Studio 2 and Studio S has been a studio specializing in contracted development projects. We have cooperated in the development of many world-class titles such as Super Smash Bros., Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and Mario Kart Tour. Now, my wording with the title is very deliberate and exact. I am less optimistic about the future potential of seeing something Xenosaga related, whether that be a straight-up port, remaster, or remake. I'm not fully down and out though. For those who don't know, Xenoblade Chronicles is a Nintendo IP. Monolith Soft developed that game for Nintendo. Xenosaga was a predecessor IP back in the days of the PlayStation 2. However, that IP is holed up with Bandai Namco. Xenoblade Chronicles 3 had a recent DLC, well I say recent, it's been a couple of years at this point, Future Redeemed, where essentially they brought Xenosaga into the canon of Xenoblade. We had seen Xenosaga characters appear in Xenoblade before, namely Cosmos, back in Xenoblade Chronicles 2. But here, they pretty much just tied in Xenosaga into the lore. And with Xenoblade's increasing popularity, and them deliberately just bringing in Xenosaga, people, myself included, theorized, oh, it would then make sense to do something Xenosaga related, because there's a lot of people out there, myself included again, that haven't touched Xenosaga, because it's over a decade old, more than that. So if you're gonna go through all this trouble to bring Xenosaga into the lore, then you would theoretically want to do something with that. Now, game studios laying people off is nothing new, especially in the modern year. We have seen this time and time and time again. And I should probably add a few more time and time and time and time again. Game developers and publishers canceling unfinished games is also nothing new. This is not direct confirmation that 1, there was ever anything Xenosaga in development or in concept, but 2, even if there is, this is not confirmation that that specific title has been discontinued. We don't know at the end of the day what was cancelled by Bandai Namco, specifically the one commissioned by Nintendo, because as the article talks about, Xenosaga wouldn't be the only thing that Bandai Namco works with Nintendo for. But I think there's another piece of context that's important to take into heart. Back in 2019, I know at this point that sounds like the before times, but about 5 years ago, God, on Twitter, Katsuhiro Harada, I absolutely butchered that, and if you're wondering who he is, he's basically the Tekken guy, he replied to somebody asking about the state of a Xenosaga HD collection, and his response was, bearing in mind this was back in 2019, December to be fair, there's actually progress to the remaster master's plan, but failed in a profitable market analysis. Sorry guys, this plan will be difficult to resurface. A very blunt admission, but honestly, I like that bluntness. And if a plan for even an HD collection would be hard to resurface, then you have to imagine that there would have to be a significant course correction or a significant change in just public perception to this IP to warrant further analyzation to the profitability of a Xenosaga thing. Myself and others have speculated that possibly the ever-increasing popularity of Xenoblade could be that thing. And the reason I am not as optimistic for Xenosaga now as I was before this Bloomberg report is because if it was already axed once back only less than 5 years ago. Okay, well, to be fair, we don't know exactly when it was axed. It's just that Harada talked about it being axed a little under 5 years ago. He didn't exactly say when this plan was brought up. But if it was already axed once, then you would have to imagine that the plan in the future, or even the modern day, would be on like a hair's edge. And there's nothing to this recent news that makes me optimistic about the state of Xenosaga, or the idea that we could ever really see it again. But I don't think it's entirely doom and gloom. As I've talked about before, there's a lot of obscurity here because we don't know what the exact projects were that were cancelled. We also don't even know if Xenosaga was ever revisited past what Harada talked about. We simply don't know. At the end of the day, I think it is important to realize that Bandai Namco and Nintendo are simply businesses. They want to make money. And if Xenoblade continues to increase in popularity and cultural importance, then I think at some point down the line, the scales will eventually flip if they haven't already, and Bandai Namco will want to do something with Xenosaga as an IP. I mean, hell, we're in an age of video game remakes after all. I don't think Xenoblade as an IP is done on Nintendo's part either. I think we will continue to see items from that IP in the years to come. I still speculate to the idea that they'll probably have something Xenoblade related for the launch window of the Switch 2, or whatever they want to call the thing. And by launch window, I mean like a year, within a year, or like a year and a half of launch. They paired up Xenoblade Chronicles 2 for that release window of a similar time frame for the Nintendo Switch. It worked very well for Xenoblade Chronicles 2, which to my knowledge is still the highest selling Xenoblade title, and I would imagine that Nintendo would want to run it back. I've speculated that would be Xenoblade X related, because we aren't due for Xenoblade 4 for a while, but you have to imagine that if they do have something Xenoblade related for the next console, and it bangs and it does well, then Xenoblade and Xeno as an IP will continue to gain more and more notoriety and become more of a known entity. And at some point down the line, you would have to hazard a guess that perhaps Square Enix would want to do something with Xenogears, and Bandai Namco would want to do something with Xenosaga. It's not like these companies hate the IP or anything, they just want to make money. It's the whole reason we haven't gotten Xenosaga up to now. Remember what Harada said before. The plan for the remaster of Xenosaga failed in a profitable market analysis. I guarantee you if it passed, we would have seen it by now. And the way to make it pass is if Xeno as an IP continues to increase and become more popular, which will be a natural byproduct if Xenoblade continues to pump out good games. So in my opinion, it's more a question of when rather than if. Look, I know Xenoblade news has been rather dry lately as Nintendo just keeps kicking the can down the road with the new console, and in the absence of news, it's easy to take any little thing or development and really blow it up in terms of its overall importance, but I don't want people to think that necessarily this recent revelation from Bloomberg in regards to Bandai Namco means that we won't see Xenosaga in the future. Perhaps it was that thing that was canned. That's possible. But at the end of the day, we simply don't know. And even if it was, I don't think that means it has to be fully canceled permanently. They're a company. If they deem it to be profitable at some point in the future, they'll probably just end up doing the thing. So yeah, with that, I think I'll call the video there for the day. Thank you all for tuning in. My pleasure making the video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like and subscribe. It really helps the channel out and help support future content. I greatly appreciate it. Stay safe. Have a great day. I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye, everybody. Until we meet again.